Japan has an enormous amount of peer groups. The peer group that fit my best interests is the Generation Y Fashion Forward group. Now you may ask yourself, what is Generation Y? Well, let me tell you. These are the people who were born in the years from 1981 and 2000. For example, these will be me, my college colleagues, or my peers that have graduated in the past. Getting back to our peer group, these people in particular are well aware of what's trending in America as well as other countries. Due to US celebrities, brands and trends tend to travel to different countries like Japan, and these peer groups follow up on these new trends to feel that they are part of an exclusive high fashion cult. The irony in this situation is that celebrities and high fashion designers get their inspiration from countries overseas, which creates this cycle of monkey see and monkey do. Going into fashion and dealing with the business, trying to come up with new designs, it took me by surprise because I feel as though I will have to go overseas to get inspired by a lot of things where my inspiration can come from my home. In the late 80s, designers like Yohei Hamamoto and Rie Kawakubo were prime suspects of starting this trend of Asian influence inspired garments being on runways. This is when people started to pay attention with what the Asian influence garment has to offer. So this is when people started to travel to different Asian countries to get their influence to bring back to America. More Asian designers exist in America today. For our peer group, an ongoing cycle of trend mimicking between Japan and other countries will continue on for eternity.
My name is Jackie Ren. I'm going to talk about workplace in Japan. In Japan, manners is the most important thing, no matter in family or friends or workplace. So today I'm going to show you how to exchange business card correctly and how to toast during a business dinner and also the women's dress code. Thank you. There are some tips I want to talk about. First, when you exchange business card, make sure your feet look like this. When you exchange business card, make sure you only hold the corner of the card. You don't. You have to show your name and the company logo, also the name of the company. When you exchange card, don't bow too much and keep your back straight. And do this. Yes. And when the person receives the business card, he cannot put in the wallet right away because that's unrespectful. So here we go. So business dinner is also really important in business, in the workplace, because they want to get to know you a little bit more. They want to know what kind of person are you before they sign the contract, so they can trust you in the future and long term. So I'm going to show you how to toast correctly during the business dinner. If he is my boss, if I'm the employee, when you toast your manager, make sure the rim of the glass is lower than his. That's how you show your respect. Yeah. Finally, I'm going to talk about women's appearance in workplace. Yes, you as a woman you can wear pants, but most of the men and even the society think women should wear skirt. That's why I'm wearing a skirt today. And make sure the skirt is above the knee or even below the knee, I mean 2 inches above the knee or even below the knee. Make sure it's not too short. And you can also wear high heels or flats. Thank you. Just like in every other country, men prefer to wear suits and really nice shoes. They don't have to wear skirts. Thank you.
In Japan, family culture is generally focused on a male-dominant figure who is the breadwinner and the decider. The woman manages the house, children, and maintains the family's reputation. In a traditional family setting, it is focused on the extension of one's family rather than the individual. For example, if the eldest son is incapable of taking on the head of the family, then the second son may replace him. Or if the woman is unable to please her in-laws or is unable to produce a child, then she may be divorced. Traditional families often take in their grandparents or in-laws into their house. This usually befalls the firstborn son's household. Because of this, it greatly affects a woman's marriage choice for fear of displeasing her in-laws. The traditional family is no longer the norm and is most commonly placed by the nuclear family. The nuclear family is centered on a married couple that may or may not have children, and it does not focus on the extension of one's family. Often, the woman in these families will have a part-time job so that she can contribute to the income. Many women often give birth to their first child within a year of their marriage. Married couples who don't have children are a very uncommon thing in Japan. A child's education and upbringing are often taken on by the mothers and then is driven into them. It can be very stressful on the children and onto the families themselves because they really want their child to get into really good schools and be able to have the career choices that they want. And only some jobs are made available through certain schools that are really hard to get into. Despite the pressures brought on by these things, Japanese families tend to stay strong and constant. And as time goes on, the traditional ways slowly fall by the wayside and give room to more growth into a cultural venue. So, to grow. Itadakimasu!
Technology in Japan. Did you know Japan places a huge emphasis on technology in our culture? A lot of technological innovations today come from Japan. One of their biggest draws is robotics in Japan. More than in any other country. Did you know they employ over 250,000 robotic workers? That's more than any other country in the world. If we look at this computer right here, we'll probably find at least one chip or hard drive made from Japan. So it's a huge part of their culture. Most of our, a large part of our automobile industry comes from Japan. Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, all were engineered from Japan. That's it.
In the Japanese culture, about 70% of them profess no religious membership. But for the ones that do practice religion in Japan, they do not identify themselves as adherents of a single religion. They rather incorporate elements of various religions. Shinto and Japanese Buddhism are the two most practiced religions, and they also do not look at them as separate and competing faiths, but rather as a single, complex religious system. There are also other religions that are practiced within the Japanese culture. Shinto is the largest practiced, about by 84% of the population, Shinto meaning the way of the gods. Now, where Shinto does not have a founder nor any sacred scriptures or a Bible, they are still deeply rooted in Japanese people's tradition. They also have Shinto gods, which are called kami, which are sacred spirits from important concepts of life, such as wind, rain, mountains, trees, rivers, and fertility. They also believe after a human dies, they become kami, which is a Shinto god. Now, they do have Shinto shrines, which are placed in homes of kami. Most shrines are celebrated as festivals in a regular order to show kami outside the world. Now, Buddhism was first introduced in Japan in the 6th century, and it came from the Korean and Chinese Buddhism, which also comes from the Indian Buddhism. Now, the ones that believe in Buddhism believe in the Four Noble Truths, and part of the Four Noble Truths also believes in reincarnation, where after a family member passes away, they'll be reincarnated into someone else, and then the cycle goes on and on. Now, the largest form of Buddhism in Japan was at the Mayan school, which is from Mayan Buddhism. Now, there are other religions that are practiced in Japan. Even though they are a smaller percentage of the population, they're still seen, such as Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, and even some that are Islam. Now, these are the religions of Japan.